Hello and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, and as a part of the series of our automated CRM, we're going to learn how to create and send payment links automatically. And for this, we're going to be using Airtable, Stripe, and Make to connect everything together. This automation is going to make requesting payments super easy for you and also for your customers, as they are going to be able to pay with their credit card. So if this sounds good to you, remember to hit that subscribe button to not miss any chapter on the series. And now, let's go into the video. First of all, we're going to do a quick overview of all the elements that we're going to need, because we're going to need our Airtable database where we're going to trigger a webhook, and then we're also going to need our make scenario. In the Airtable database, we're going to trigger a webhook when certain conditions are matched, and then with the make scenario, we're going to create and send the payment link and the invoice. Now that we have done a quick overview of all the elements that are going to take part in this system, I'm going to show you and I'm going to explain you the Airtable database, because if you have been watching this series, you will know that we have used these fields: the product code, the first name, the last name, the meetings, the status, and then also some other fields here, okay? But for this particular video, the fields that we actually need are product code, first name, last name, email, budget, then the status, because it's going to be what is going to trigger the webhook, and then all the billing information from here, okay? Like company, line 1 address, line 2 address, zip code, city, country, and then also the Stripe customer ID, okay? Because then we're going to keep that information so in the future we are able to do other automations. Those are the fields that we actually need. So in case that you don't have an Airtable database with those fields, I recommend you to create it, because then with the status, when it matches certain conditions, we're going to trigger the scenario, and we are going to fill the different fields of the scenario with the fields of the Airtable database. So now let's take a look to the Airtable automation that is going to trigger the webhook, and then let's take a look to make. As you can see here, basically we're going to run a script, okay? And as in the previous video, I'm going to leave this script in the description, because this is something that you actually need, okay? The only thing that you need to do here is substitute this code here by your webhook URL, okay? And then just make sure that the input variables we are writing recordId, and then the value is Airtable recordId, okay? I'm going to undo that one, and then I'm going to explain what are the conditions that we actually need. So when we change the status of the record manually or via an automation to contract set, then we're going to run this script that, as I said, I'm going to leave it written in the description, okay? Then this script is going to trigger this make scenario, and in this make scenario, as you can see here, we have a custom webhook that in case that you don't know how to create it, basically we have to go to webhooks. You can type it here as well, but for me it's not going to be because it's already here, and we're going to select a custom webhook, okay, that triggers when webhook receives data. So basically we're going to create one in case that you don't have it, and basically you just have to click on add and then add the webhook name and then click on save, and we're going to have this URL, okay? This URL is the one that we have to write in the Airtable automation, okay? So I'm going to delete this one again, and then I'm going to explain what are we doing here. So basically when we receive this webhook, we're going to receive the record ID, and then we're going to use this Airtable get the record module to retrieve all the information record. It means that we're going to be able to see the last name, the status, the first name, the company name, the VAT number, the city, the email, basically all the information associated to that record. And then there comes a couple of Stripe modules that we actually need to set up, okay? The first one is create a customer, then create an invoice, then create an invoice item, then finalize a drive invoice, and then do an API call that is going to send the invoice and the payment link, okay? And I'm going to go explaining them one by one. So here, as you can see, the first thing that we need to do is to write the description, then email, name, line 1 address, line 2 address, city, country, postal code. This is nothing complex at all. We just need to fill all the different fields and then just click on OK. So here in the first one, we're going to create a customer, okay? And we want to create a customer because in Stripe, in order to create an invoice, first we have to create a customer, then we have to create an item, and then we can send the invoice. So we're going to use the first name, the last name, and the product code in order to create the description of the customer. And then we're going to use all the different fields like email, name, line 1 address, line 2 address, city, and basically all the information that we have retrieved in the previous step in the get a record module in the Airtable one, and we're going to click in OK. Then in the next module, we're going to create an invoice, and the invoice actually needs some parameters that we have created in the previous step. In this case, it's the customer ID, and then we're going to select as collection method send invoice, okay? Here, this is the days until due. It means the days until the invoice is going to be considered as delayed, and here you can actually select 14, 20, 30, whatever you want. And the description, yes, payment / product code, but you can actually write whatever you want. So here we are going to exclude the items that are pending, and then we're going to create an invoice item, okay? And the invoice item is going to determine the quantity that we are going to be able to charge in that invoice, because if there is no items in an invoice, we are not able to charge anything at all, okay? Unless it's a subscription, but the subscription also has an ID. So here, again, we're going to use the customer ID of the previous step, then by total amount, and then here, very important, we're going to use the budget from the get a record module, and then we're going to multiply it by 100, because here by default in Stripe we only have cents instead of dollars. The currency, we need to write like the 3 characters. In this case it can be USD or EUR from euro, and then the description is going to be initial payment / product code, but again you can write whatever you want here, okay? Then the invoice ID here is going to be the invoice ID from the previous step, and that would be ready to go. And now we're going to finalize the draft invoice. And as you can see, this is a very simple step where basically we just have to include the invoice ID that we got in this step, and that's basically it. And then in the last step, and actually most important one, we're going to create an API call where basically we send a request to this URL to v1/invoices/invoice/ID/send. And whenever we send this request to this URL, we're going to retrieve in exchange a URL and an invoice. So it needs to be a post request, and then we just need to write in headers content type and then value application, this thing that you have here, okay? Because basically once you create your Stripe connection, we don't need to authenticate because it's already authenticated, okay? So we're going to click in OK, and then we're going to send an email to the customer with all the information that we actually need. And now here we're going to add now a Microsoft 365 module that is going to be create and send a message. And here is going to be the subject invoice, name plus last name, and then we're going to fill basically all the body content and all the email addresses that we actually want to send the invoice to, okay? In this case, basically I'm selecting email, the one that we have retrieved in the get a record module that I'm going to show you here. Email, okay, here in Airtable, and then basically name space last name, okay? And this is very easy. This email indeed we don't need it because in this previous step with the API call, basically we have sent already the invoice and we have sent already the payment link. But this is like a formal way of saying, hey, we have sent to you the invoice and we have sent to you the payment link. Please proceed whenever you want, okay? So that would be ready to go. And then in the last step, we're going to update the record in Airtable. And here basically we're going to use the recordId from the previous step, that is the get record module. I'm going to show it here. This one, but as you can see it's the same one. And then we're just going to change the status, and then we're just going to add the Stripe customer ID, because this information we're going to use it in further steps in order to onboard new customers or to send messages or to request payments, and this information we're going to need it in the future, okay? So that would be it. And as you can see, this is a super simple way of creating payment links and invoices automatically and save a lot of time not having to create links one by one every time that we have a new customer, okay? So as always, I'm going to leave a link in the description where you can purchase this template, including the Airtable database, so in case that you don't want to build this yourself, you can actually purchase and basically plug and play into your business. And last, if you like the video, like and subscribe, and see you in the next one.